Today we're recapping The Martian, directed by Ridley Scott. In 2035, the Ares 3 mission crew, led by Commander Melissa Lewis, played by Jessica Chastain, along with astronauts Rick Martinez, played by Michael Pena, Beth Johansson, played by Kate Mara, Chris Beck, played by Sebastian Stan, Alex Vogel, played by Axel Henny, and Mark Watney, played by Matt Damon, is conducting a 31-sol Martian solar day expedition on Mars, specifically in the Acidalia Planitia region. On Sol 18, an intense and rapidly developing dust storm with dangerously high winds approaches their location. Calculations show that the storm threatens the stability of their Mars Ascent Vehicle, MAV, which, if tipped, will leave the crew stranded with no way home. During the emergency evacuation, Watney is struck by debris, a communications antenna that detaches from the MAV and is flung into the storm. His biomonitor is damaged, and his vital signs go offline. Commander Lewis makes a difficult call, deciding to abort the mission and evacuate with the remaining crew, believing Watney has been killed. However, Watney survives. He regains consciousness after the storm, wounded and alone. He makes his way back to the HAB, surface habitat, removes a piece of antenna lodged in his abdomen, and begins triaging his situation. Realizing he has no way to contact NASA and limited supplies, Watney starts a video log, recording his efforts for posterity and possibly future rescue. Watney's first priority becomes survival. He must produce enough food to last until rescue, estimated to be in 4 years, when Ares 4 is scheduled to land at Schiaparelli Crater, 3,200 kilometers away. Drawing on his background as a botanist, he creates a makeshift farm using Martian soil, human feces as fertilizer, and potatoes originally intended for crew meals. To grow crops, he must create water, which he synthesizes by burning leftover hydrazine fuel to generate hydrogen, which is then combined with oxygen. Back on Earth, NASA satellite operator Mindy Park, played by Mackenzie Davis, while reviewing images of the Ares 3 site, notices equipment has been moved, strong evidence that Watney is alive. NASA Director Teddy Sanders, played by Jeff Daniels, holds a press conference to announce this discovery. Meanwhile, Flight Director Mitch Henderson, played by Sean Bean, is eager to inform the Hermes crew, but Sanders refuses, fearing it will distract or emotionally burden them during their return voyage. On Mars, Watney attempts to increase his chances of survival by retrieving the Pathfinder probe, which landed on Mars in 1997. After locating and repairing it, he uses its rudimentary systems to establish contact with NASA via Morse code. This allows him to re-establish communications and eventually upgrade to text-based conversations through a system link to the rover. The mood at NASA shifts dramatically. Watney is alive, communicating and coordinating his survival plan. With this breakthrough, Henderson pressures Sanders again, and the Hermes crew is finally informed of Watney's survival. Their morale lifts, but the clock is ticking. Watney continues his routine on Mars until disaster strikes. A HAB airlock breach results in a violent decompression, destroying his potato crop and causing life-threatening damage. He repairs the breach but is now back to starvation-level rations. In a race against time, NASA engineers and Mars mission director Vincent Kapoor, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, rushed to develop a resupply probe. Under immense pressure, the mission skips some testing protocols. The probe launches, only to explode shortly after takeoff. In a bold move, China's space agency, the CNSA, steps in, offering their classified Taiyang-Shen booster to help launch a new resupply payload. Meanwhile, JPL astrophysicist Rich Purnell, played by Donald Glover, devises the Purnell maneuver. Instead of sending supplies to Mars, he proposes sending them to Hermes, which could slingshot around Earth and return to Mars in time to intercept Watney. While Sanders deems the plan too risky, Henderson secretly transmits it to the Hermes crew, who vote unanimously to execute it, risking their own lives to save their teammate. NASA is forced to back the new plan. Months later, Watney embarks on a grueling journey across Mars in a modified rover to reach the Ares 4 MAV, pre-positioned at Schiaparelli crater. Along the way, he faces mechanical issues, isolation, and sandstorms, but overcomes them using ingenuity and grit. Once at the site, Watney modifies the MAV by stripping it of excess weight, including the nose cone and guidance system, and replacing parts with canvas, effectively turning it into a bare-bones launch platform. On the day of rescue, Watney launches into Mars orbit in the stripped-down MAV, but the trajectory places him too far from the Hermes for a standard intercept. In a daring maneuver, Commander Lewis decides to detonate part of Hermes' internal structure, creating thrust through decompression. The move slows the ship enough for Lewis to attempt a tethered spacewalk to grab Watney. Despite the proximity, they're still out of reach, until Watney punches a hole in his suit, releasing air and propelling himself toward her like a human thruster. Lewis catches Watney and the crew reels him in. The world, watching live, erupts in celebration. Watney has survived 561 sols on Mars. Back on Earth, Watney becomes a survival instructor for future astronauts, passing on the lessons learned from his ordeal. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe below to watch more movie recaps with Brian. Comment below which movie you'd like to see recapped next.